On today's episode of Three Down Development, really excited to be joined again by Coach Ray and our guest today, Coach Tommy Condell. Coach is joining us. He's the offensive coordinator with the Hamilton Ticats. And we're going to talk a lot about developing a quarterback-friendly offense today. Coach, thanks for making the time to be here and help us out. And, if you want to give, our viewers a little rundown on exactly how you got to be the offensive coordinator here in Hamilton, we'll go from there.
Oh, geez, that might be a long story on that kind of stuff, I can tell you. But the short end of it is I'm very thankful to be here in Hamilton, and we've had a lot of success since we've been here. And now we need to finish it by winning the Grey Cup. And what better year to do it now when it's home. So we're certainly excited to when the season starts and to actually get after it. So. But looking forward to it. I've been in, I'm from actually upstate New York, coaching collegiate and college football down south for a lot of years and got a chance to be in the CFL and have coached professionally in a couple of leagues. So, I've gotten a lot of great experience in regards to being around a lot of great coaches. So, and now I'm here.
Yeah, it's great to be, we get a lot of people, that are always asking us about quarterback stuff. And, I really find that obviously in the Canadian game, there's a premium on that position, whether, maybe to the highest level, obviously at the CFL level. But you can make a big difference, whether it's your high school program, university program, by improving the way you coach quarterbacks and improving the way that you build your offense to help the quarterback be successful. And one of the things that in my time working with offenses, that has always been interesting to me is how you teach quarterbacks to see space. It's really easy, I think, from the booth. And that's when I was at Laurier, that's where I spent most of my time. So I probably think it's even easier than it really is because I'm used to seeing the game from up in the sky and everything seems so clear and obvious. But obviously when you're behind center, it's a totally different story. How do you go about kind of teaching your quarterback to see space? And I guess what's that process like for you and your quarterback group?
I mean, that's going to be a question that we'll somewhat unpack a little bit because I think we do it in the first quick answer is we always teach it through the eyes. And we always teach all our progression teaching through the quarterback's eyes. And we have a systematic way we do it and how we start with it. One of it is our systematic pre-snap scans that we do and trying to gain knowledge and really eliminate coverage, and what they can do and what they can't do from it. Also, along with seeing space, I would say it's more similar to understanding body positions, talking about hard focus and soft focus, and then what we use some acronyms to be able to describe it and give the quarterbacks a cue and doing it from we talk about DELI, which is depth, width, hips, and eyes leverage and intentions of those defenders. And then we add the peripheral vision awareness in it, understanding, you're going to see color and speed, certain things. But one way I could show you a little bit is, let me see if we've already shared. Hopefully you got this in front of you now.
Yep.
These are the things that we actually really go over with the guys. And we break down the quarterback vision into three groups. And with that, generally speaking, we go from, the first way we do it is pre-snap. And those pre-snap things are from their systematic eye scan and however you want to do it. But you need to have an eye scan of saying, okay, well, if you want to go from boundary to field, back to the linebackers, second level and down to the front, and then always go, some people will say they'll always go back to their blind side, which is their left side if you're a right-handed quarterback. Some people will say, especially in the Canadian game, is to get an eye fill of the backside halfback and what they're doing. The big thing is what are you scanning? Certain guys are going to be important from a formation awareness, like from a 3x2, seeing the Sam free safety in the backside halfback, then see what kind of string they're on, because they're going to be able to show you from their depth and their alignment, their leverage, where he's the free safeties in relationship to the hash, all those kinds of things in the backside halfback. So then when you go to a 2x3, what's the Sam doing? What's that guy? Is he coming on over? Is he tracking on over? Are they trying to do an adjustment? So we give those things all to the quarterback from not only from a systematic scan, but a formational awareness, right? So if it's a 4x1, what's the halfback doing? Is he coming on over? What are they doing when he comes on over? Is he going to be off on the track, so to speak, which is the hash mark, and he's eyeballing number 4? Those are the things that we look at. Here's their systematic eye scan, but there's formational clues that they're keyed into, not only from a general sense, but then you kind of funnel it right into, I would say, a specific game plan or a specific defender from who you're facing, right? Because some of those guys will give those things away. We do have a pre-flight checklist, so to speak, in regards to what we need to go down for certain plays, things that we know that are very, very important for the success of that play, or i.e. for any type of, protection, which goes into that front recognition and things of that nature. Let it be a run game. Are we checking it to this? Are we not? Are we expecting pressure? Is the guy capped over the top of that receiver? Those things. And then finally, the biggest thing with our scans and our pre-snap thing is we're eliminating possibilities, right? If we can make it as simple, hey, do you know if it's man or zone? Those kinds of things. That's easy, right? If it's zone, where's that flat defender located? Is he inside? Is he outside? That's the simplest part of it. And that gives them a lot of information. Is it a cover 0 type of mode? Are we, and how can we see that and identify that? But the biggest thing to me on any pre-snap scan is to have it systematic, but also have the ability to eliminate all the possibilities. Hey, it can't be this, right? They're not rotating to this. It's man here, it's zone here, and make it as simple as that. That's how we first start about that. I think the other way we do it is from post-snap, and like you talked about, seeing space, right? And what we talk about that is, one, once the ball snapped, are we confirming or are we adjusting the coverage that we thought it was? One, as the post-snap is going and seeing in front of us, what are we actually seeing? The transition to reaction speed continuing. What I mean by that is from the actual body positions of those defenders. We identify them. What can they do in their depth, their width, their hips, their shoulder angles, those kinds of things. What can and what they cannot take away. Those are all things that are important. And when we give the quarterback an actual play, he understands where his vision's supposed to be tied in with his footwork, saying, hey, if we're in the gun and your first step, your vision's here. As you're crossing over, your vision is here. And what are you supposed to see? And we talk about eye cones and seeing the vision through that. Then ultimately, what's the defenders and receivers relationship together? Where is he? High shoulder, low shoulder, those kinds of things to make them understand. Then ultimately, when the moment of throw actually happens, now we're talking about our final Polaroid, right? And that snapshot that hits us. And then we get a chance to see the ultimate DB receiver relationship, right? And where that guy is located on that receiver, which is going to dictate location, which then in turn is accuracy. So that's in a general sense of how we teach pre-snap scans and vision of the quarterback. Now, as what I'll do is I'll unpack this here. Let me go from there and give you more of an icon type of position. When our vision is, and we talk about hard focus and we talk about soft focus. So our vision's coming down through here, right? Well, if we're saying it's soft, we have hard focus on this linebacker or whoever that may be on that second level, and we have soft focus here. We're teaching a lot of these quarterbacks to see, yes, two people at the same time, but it's looking through people, right? And we've already got an idea of what that body position is. What can he do in there with his shoulders and hips that way? We have an idea of the speed that he's gone. But if I tell a quarterback we're going to have hard focus on the linebacker second level, and then I'm going to transfer my eyes up through that cone, now I'm going to go, I'll have and say soft focus on the linebacker, but hard focus on him, right? And now that's the peripheral awareness of understanding what that individual can do down here, but I also am seeing exactly what that high defender is doing. So what does that mean in a really play sense? right, is this. If we're running any type of, I would say, different things that we use, right? We say our eye fix, our vision cone, our hard focus, soft focus. Those are the things that we communicate and talk through the progressions of any play. And so what's our cone of vision, right? Here's our cone of vision through here, but now I'm getting a chance to see two people at once. You're seeing in this diagram here, his eyes are over here. And why that is, I told him this is a quick 5 drop, right? So it's a quick 5 and a hitch on this play. And so for the first 3 steps, we're pinning that free safety. We're pinning him. What does that mean? We're putting him on a certain route. We're using our eye manipulation to move him out here. But then when we come back, we got to grow our eyes through the linebacker to the halfback. So when we do that, as we come back and we transfer, we're getting a chance to see that and say, hey, what is that defender doing in that body position, right? And then if we have to come back down, we now have hard focus and soft focus on another individual. But what can those guys do in that body position? That's important. What can that guy do? They're 2 different body positions, but they're telling you a lot of information in that regard. So that's one of the ways that we talk about understanding space and seeing space constrict and also expand, because you're not just seeing it, you're seeing it peripherally. Hopefully, that's one of the big things. Hopefully I answered your questions on that. And then we add those things and those acronyms of his depth, width, and hips.
Yeah, I love you taking an abstract, idea and putting concrete language to it, which is something I think, helps when you're learning anything, right? Like this isn't an A/B solution problem, right? You're dealing with people moving in a big space, tons of variations. But in terms of everyone, I think, is used to hearing, well, yeah, we're going to put our eyes here and then our eyes here, but finding efficiencies. I love the terminology of hard focus and soft focus. That's something I think just hearing that out loud as someone who's coached running backs the last 3 or 4 years, thinking about reading out running schemes, right? And reading the defense. I wish I had heard that earlier. That's something I might work into other positions, because I just think it's a great way to communicate exactly what you want. Because we say, okay, we want to put our eyes on this guy, but we rarely want our players to see one thing, right? It's just, hey, that might be the primary focus, right? But to really execute the job at a high level consistently, you're going to have to take in more than one piece of information at a time, probably at any position, but especially at quarterback. So that's when I wrote down right away. I thought that was, that's a great way to take an abstract concept and really firm it up. So and maybe this will come through in this clip, but when you're breaking down a progression, do you do that for every concept then? So you're saying, hey, we're going to start with our hard focus here and our soft focus here, and then we're going to transition. That works into kind of everything you guys do.
Yes, because as I alluded earlier, you're always going to teach any player, specifically now we're talking quarterbacks, but if we're talking running backs or anything, you're always going to coach them through their eyes and and you're going to label it in such a way, in my opinion, to be able to give them direction and timing and seeing at the right space and at the right time. Because if their eyes are not at the proper time, they're seeing something that's not what they shouldn't be seeing, or they're seeing something that hasn't unfolded yet. Take, for instance, a running back like you talked about. If you're reading the inside zone, yes, you're going to blink, the first down lineman, past the center, certainly, right? You're going to blink that, you're going to see that. And you give them a duration. Well, now all of a sudden, as he's pressing the track, now all of a sudden that hard focus off of that, let it be an overfront, and that's a 3 technique. That's that hard focus, and you're blinking that guy. Now, as you press the track and get the heels of the line of scrimmage, your eyes are coming up to that linebacker and seeing where that relationship with that, how the offensive lineman is in position to that guy. So now your soft focus is down below. And it just kind of, it's like, to me, you teach all your players like that. Let it be a receiver and how they're seeing it. And how now it's a little different for a receiver just because of their vision of the way and way they're running forward. Just like as a quarterback, it's different because they're back and they can see more. But the peripheral vision awareness, they have to understand by seeing what color it is, what speed, and then you have to anticipate off of that. Once you blink them, anticipate their next movement from what you saw before. And that's where, to me, those body positions really pay a lot of dividends, because you're going to know what that guy can and cannot take away from a quarterback standpoint, right? And so that's where we start from. That's where we go from every play. We're certainly going to say, even let it be a simple quick. If it's the stick route, right, we're going to go over of understanding that, hey, if it's a rock and throw, so to speak, and we're going right outside, I want them to understand that their vision might be through the lowest outside defender through the corner, so to speak. And what are you anticipating seeing? And as you get into your system, a simple, let it be verticals, you're going to see natural body positions that come up time and time again, let it be issues, things of that nature. To me, I think you need to compartmentalize them and then be able to teach them in such a way to fast track them. Because what is open in high school and college and the pros is all different, because it's relative to space. And space, I call it the space-time continuum, right? The amount of time you look into space, it constricts, right? It's all relative. And then if you're looking at it too long, especially up here, you're going to throw a pick because the guy's going to take it. So it's always in every play.
Yeah, awesome. That was a great example.
That's great. No, and I think the big thing is seeing, especially up here and for the high school coaches and the college coaches, being able to see things through the player's eyes, and especially at the quarterback position. I've been with you, Tommy, and I've seen the unique things that you've been able to do with teaching it that way and being able to, really maximize reps from that area, because you're only on the football field for so long. So I think as a coach, every play looks great from 1,000-foot view. And, I know you've never called a wrong play in your life. So,
yeah, I want to go to the grave saying that, but obviously not.
But I think it's really important to find unique ways to teach from that angle, and and have great teaching points. Soft focus, hard focus, but really just find ways to maximize from your player's perspective to be able to teach. And whether that's the camera behind the quarterback or different things you can do, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a million cameras on the football field, but find a different way to teach from that vantage point is so important.
Yeah, I think you need to teach from different teaching methodologies, because to me, a coach is the highest form of an educator. We're teaching motor skills and motor learning, and then to be able to have efficient cues, so to speak, to be able to give the information in such a short way and then be able to see it and give the correct amount of feedback is critical. And then the teaching methodologies that you use in the classroom, as well as out on the field, are so important. And that also talks to your point, Braden, of the things that we would use in the classroom, and to start them understanding space, and we'll use, and I know something came out where we'll use our football men, and we'll, because I want them not only to, sometimes when they draw on the board, which the drawing on the board is good. Drawing is, and they're up there, and I want them to be able to verbalize and visualize any play, right? But also to be able to make them understand space as well, is we do it in another model, right? Now I've heard people use checkers, which is fine. I use a different version of it, right? So now they get a chance to, and I layer it in such a way where those football men have hips and shoulders and stuff like that, so I can move them and where they're at. And we talk about that. So I think that's a great point, Braden, is you have to find a way and teach in a way, not only in the classroom, but also on the field, to teach your philosophy of teaching through the eyes. And one of those aspects is understanding space and where it's going to be confined, where you see it, and then build your whole system through it, because you're going to have better accuracy. Because one of the things is about being an accurate quarterback, is your eyes, right? Is your eyes level, right? Is your eyes still and quiet? Well, the only way to keep your eyes still and quiet, and they're not like I call them, like a squirrel on caffeine running around there, is to give them an ability to understand what they're supposed to see at the right time.
I think it's a challenge, especially, you know, in the Canadian game with such a big field and more, you know, pre-snap motion, all that stuff. So that lots of stuff I'm looking forward to using from that right now.